All right. So let's talk, before we get into protein shakes and soy, let's talk about protein and how that fits into our diet in general. I have a picture of a kitchen here, and you may be like, why is there a picture of a kitchen there? Essentially, I like to think of our body as a kitchen, and every day our body is constantly cooking up all these amazing recipes, and it uses ingredients, and those ingredients are the nutrition that we put into our body. And our body really is amazing at doing that. And it can cook up some amazing recipes. And sometimes it can even do that if we're missing a key ingredient. But if we're missing that key ingredient, it's not the dish probably won't turn out as well it is. Like maybe we can substitute eggs or butter or something like, but it's just not going to be as good, you know? So that's kind of how I visualize nutrition and the need for good nutrition is that if we really want our body to do what it's designed and meant to do, and we want it to do it well, we need to give it the right ingredients. If we want to oversimplify nutrition, we can kind of divide it down into these three sections. We have macronutrients, which is essentially where we get our energy from. So those calories, those 2,000 calories that we get a day that drive the energy of our body. And those are going to be our carbs, our proteins, and our fats. And those do other things besides just give us energy. Fats, for an example, I can't talk. Fats, for instance, have a huge role, the healthy fats, in our cardiovascular system, in the myelinization of our nervous system, so the creation of our brain tissue and our nervous tissue throughout our bodies. Incredibly important for kids too, by the way. We don't give people cod liver oil anymore, but they need to get enough healthy fats. We need to get enough healthy fats. And then, carbs play their role as well. Proteins, they are one of the huge building blocks for every single cell in our body, not just our muscles, definitely our muscles, but everything else as well. So they have a lot of roles in our body besides just giving us energy, but those are going to be the three sources for us to get energy as well. And if we don't get enough energy, that's when we're going to start starving to death. If we get too much energy, that's when we're going to start putting on a lot of stored energy as fat, and we become obese and have a lot of complications that way. So that's where we get the kind of baseline energy for our body. Then we also have these things called micronutrients, and those are going to be vitamins and minerals, which are incredibly amazing in our bodies as well, but that's a total another series, so let me know if you want the information on that, but that's a talk for another day. Same with phytonutrients, which are kind of an up-and-coming thing. They're becoming more of a topic of discussion, even though we've known about them for a long time. Those are going to be things like flavonoids, carotenoids, resveratrol, isoflavonoids, things like that. Those all kind of qualify as phytonutrients. And those are basically like trace nutrients that we find in fruits and vegetables. And that's one of the big reasons why we say, you can't just supplement everything, especially if you don't have a good supplement. But like I said, that's a talk for another day. And that's like why some people juice or like this is the idea between whole food supplements. So it's just the idea that you have these micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, but then you also have these phytonutrients, and we need all of these things. We need the core baseline macronutrients, micronutrients, phytonutrients, and proteins are a part of those macronutrients. So what is a protein? There are lots of different proteins, and they're all made up of strings of amino acids. I think it's 22 amino acids, and they make up hundreds and hundreds of different types of combinations that are proteins. So the thing is, sometimes you probably have heard of something called a complete protein. A complete protein is a protein that contains all 9 essential amino acids. So an essential amino acid is an amino acid that our body cannot formulate on its own. It can't cook that up. It's an essential ingredient, something that it can't create on its own. So we need to get those 9 amino acids from our diet. And there's different sources that we can get those amino acids from, those 9 essential amino acids. So when you think of a protein source isn't just protein. There's other stuff in it. So that's why some protein sources are better protein sources than others. If you think about red meats, a lot of us know red meats probably are not one of the greatest protein options because they tend to have a lot of the unhealthy fats in them and some of those things that contribute to cardiovascular disease. And, they have a lot of essential amino acids in them, but they also maybe have some other stuff we're not too excited about. Then you have options like fish and chicken and, what are the other ingredients in those sources? So fish especially, you have those fish oils that are really, really important to our body. You have minerals, you have vitamins, you have some of those other stuff that is going to be a great option as far as protein goes. You can also get amino acids from fruits and vegetables, but the caveat with that is that you kind of have to work hard at it, because most fruits and vegetables don't contain all 9 of those essential amino acids. So if you eat like beans, for example, you're still going to be missing some of those amino acids. Or if you eat rice, you're going to be missing some of those amino acids. But if you eat them together, you'll get some of the amino acids from one, some of the amino acids from another, and when you eat them together, then you have a full, all 9 of the amino acids you need. So that can be a great option, those vegan diets and vegetarian diets, but just be aware, kind of got to think a little bit harder about it and make sure you're actually getting all of those 9 amino acids. So these are all sources, and then we also have the supplementation option as a source, so things like protein shakes. And that could be an option as well, which is what we want to talk about next. And is protein shakes a good source for us to get our protein from?